right? Episode 32, strong on the outside, dying on the inside, high functioning depression. Yeah, get some.
Hi, fam.
Fam. Wait, I'm not live yet. Get some. I might have done the fucking stream. No, I didn't. I did the stream thing, right?
It says live.
Well, it's live on that, but it's not live on the other thing, the thing that people watch.
The YouTube thing.
Yeah. Now we're live. It's Thursday night. It's 9 o'clock. I'm in your time zone. It's episode 32, strong on the outside, dying on the inside, high functioning depression.
And
To continue
anxiety.
and anxiety and other things.
I read your article.
Well, I appreciate that. What did you think? Did you learn anything?
It really resonated with kind of what I've been putting myself through the last week.
Yeah, that's
With
cool. I mean, it's not cool, but it's crazy, man. Because I've been so busy this last couple of days, weeks. Shit, it's been 2 weeks like this.
you had people over, you're traveling, wife's
Yeah,
been gone.
yeah, it's crazy, dude. Like, yeah, and I finally get, and I'm an introvert. Like, I'm here in Minnesota. I give a talk, a whole bunch of people. They all want to talk and stuff, and I like it. I love it. But the thing about introverts is people exhaust us. So
It takes
I'm
energy to
exhausted.
do that.
So I got back to the hotel, slammed in like an hour nap, got up, went to the convenience store to get myself some USA convenience store food because they don't have that in Mexico. So I had a craving for I just want one of those stupid ass sandwiches that you can get at convenience stores.
Oh yeah, like the $3 like pre-made sandwich. Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose most people when they travel, they probably get let's go to a fancy restaurant and some shit. I'm like, nah, I want some straight
Give
up.
me some gas station food.
That's what I got. Yeah.
Nice.
But the last couple of weeks, so I opened, so I had to give a talk today. And so I'm going to not rant a little bit, but just share. The last couple of weeks, I've been crazy busy because I had to fill in for some things, where people dropped the ball and some stuff. Everybody's, people have personal lives, and they have to get that shit healthy. So I don't fault them for that stuff. It's just every once in a while, you just get kind of slammed. So it was like creating 2 lessons for the CISSP mentor program, both about encryption, which is cool. And it's, if you didn't have to create the study materials for it, if you just had to do the talk about it, and then it'd be a piece of cake. But you got to create, things that people could take away and study from. People like, me and you and probably others, you can't really shortcut this stuff. Like your mind won't let you do it. It's like, no, we got to do it. We got to put in the effort. So it ended up being like in both presentations, probably like close to 400 PowerPoint slides.
That's a lot.
But dude, I'm telling you. So, and I finished up. So I finished the recordings and everything a few days late, but still in time to where it's not like disruptive. I finished it at like 4 o'clock in the morning on the day that I was leaving to come here to give this talk, in Minnesota. So it was in that my taxi was picking me up at my house back in Mexico at 7:30 in the morning. So I got done at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, well, I got like an hour sleep.
Just stay up, yeah.
Yeah. And then, you know, one of the coordinators for the talk that I was giving today is like, hey, send us your slides and whatever. And I'm like, dude,
Shit.
first of all,
What
I didn't get
slides?
this. I have no slides.
What
And
am I
two,
talking about?
well, that's it too, man. So my second thing, I'm not going to create any slides because I'm not opening PowerPoint again for another week. I'm not touching this shit. And then, but I just didn't respond to the email. And on the flight, coming here, I finally get some time. Like, okay, well, what's next? I got this talk. Okay, well,
Oh, shit.
shit, I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know what the topic is. And like, I was afraid to ask because I know they'd be really pissed. Like, you don't even know what the hell. So I'm like, shit. So I'm looking through all my old emails. I can't find it. So I go to the webpage for the conference thing. And thankfully they had my title listed there. And I was like, okay, all right. So that's what I'm talking about. And I'm like, And my first thought when I saw that title is I'm like, who the hell would choose this as a fucking title for a talk? So I'm like, shit. So, but I didn't, you just get this point where like you're just exhausted. So I got to the hotel. I had some travel issues, got rebooked, stuff like that. It's normal. Get to the hotel at like midnight, maybe. And then I had to get up this morning, to go. This morning I was on a podcast at 9 a.m. And then I have the talk things at like 1 o'clock, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll just get up there and talk, I'll just start rambling and shit. But
You're nuts, man.
well, some weeks you got this. It's just like, but the cool thing is like from a mental health perspective, which is kind of one of the things about this episode and this whole, month and beyond is, it's, I feel like I went through it in a healthy state of mind. I didn't freak out. I didn't feel stressed. It was just like, all right, what's up next? Okay, well, shit, I'm going to do the best job I can. And worst case, they don't invite me back and I don't have to do this shit again. That's probably a good idea.
Do you think you're lying to yourself, or you are just you're like growing, or you've grown where it doesn't bother you?
I think it's more the latter because, you know, I also got asked this week from somebody that I haven't met why I've been writing so much about this mental health thing, just curious, whatever. And I said, I think if there's a few reasons for it. I think one, the more I share my own mental health stuff and my own mental health stories, the more it grounds me, the more it reminds me, the more I feel empowered, the more I feel like I don't have to try to be somebody that I'm not. Like, this is me. Yeah, I'm flawed. Show me one person. I mean, and I'm not big on comparing myself to other people, but is there a CEO in any company? Is there any leader anywhere who's not?
Not likely.
No. And so sometimes in life, you have these things where it's just like overwhelming. And sometimes you have these things in life where you got nice rest. You know, if I were to continue this kind of cycle, like ongoing, yeah, it's going to get to me. I am going to crack. It is, I am going to end up dying. But I know that this is, I mean, right now I'm actually kind of happy. I'm actually kind of excited because all that shit's behind me now. The classes are done. My talk is over. I can breathe. It's like,
You're coming back in a month, though, right?
yeah, but I don't have to prepare anything for that.
Oh, that's
I don't
just a
think. I don't remember.
glitch happens. Survive, thriving chaos and
Shit, that's right.
complexity.
I do have to prepare some for that. Yeah, 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 yeah. I do have
You
to
you
do that.
got that though. That's like your thing.
It's my thing. But that's what my talk was today. When I got up there, I was talking about this. It was about how, as a VC, so how you can essentially navigate executive management and establish authority without being on the org chart, without having authority. And the title was corny as shit. I don't even know how the hell I came up with the title. Uh, I just was transparent, man. I mean, he just spoke from the heart. I'm like, this is the things that I've run into, and these are the things that we navigated it. I taught about, those three buckets that are so important. I need to establish trust, credibility, likability. Essentially, what I'm trying to do anyway, with authority or not authority, is to socially engineer the company. Once I've established that trust and credibility and likability with the board of directors or the CEO or the CIO, whoever, then now I have a level of authority that they've actually given me, and it has nothing to do with the damn org chart. I mean, it ended up the talk went like great, and I have no slides. I'm just going to tell you straight up what's up. And then I also thought like, because one of the reasons I kind of got in this last pit of jam was, my wife was gone last week, and so she comes back. She came back like Saturday, or whatever. I hadn't been able to spend any time with her really because I was busy doing my shit that I had to get done. This unexpected, like, 40 hours of work, that landed on my plate. And so like Tuesday night, the night before I'm traveling down here, I hadn't had the last thing recorded. I had the deck done pretty much, But then the recording it takes about like 3, maybe 4 hours, because you have to record it, you have to edit it a little bit. Yeah, I mean, and each one of these lessons is like 2 hours long. So it's like,
Don't do that live anymore. It's all posted.
yeah, it's a different kind of setup. So, it's like 6:30, and I'm like, all right, I gotta go upstairs and do this recording, and Marlis gave me like, it was involuntary, but this look of like sad disappointment, but it wasn't even that, because it was just the look in her eyes. And I saw it, and I was like, all right, fuck this. I'm not doing it right now. You know what I mean? And she's like, well, when are you going to get it done? I'm like, I'll do it late tonight. I'll do it early morning. It doesn't matter. Right now, it's me and you. I left my phone, closed my laptop, and we went out to dinner, uh, watched a movie, spent some quality time together. And then, I tucked her in bed probably like 11:30, and that's when I went and recorded it. So that's why I was up till like 4 in the morning or whatever. And I was sharing with the people today, like that was the best decision I think I've made. It had nothing to do with business, nothing. The best decision I made in months was to notice that I was off. My priorities were fucked up, and yeah, it's better now.
All the
What? Are you fucking around with shit? What are you doing, Mets? You're always messing with your tech, dude. Leave that shit alone.
my it's dying. I don't charge it all the time, so it's like freaking out.
I thought you were a Marine, man. You're supposed to be like all prepared and shit.
No, I'm all straight fucked up the last few weeks. I've been all out of alignment trying to do too much stuff. So I
See,
had a
you feel me on all this.
oh yeah, for sure. Different type of stuff cuz one thing I always struggle with is personal relationships. For me, it's like all work. So when work goes crazy, shit falls off the rails and I'm trying to do like transitioning and then nonprofit training and then regular work, IR, and then I'm trying to do like all this workout stuff and it's exhausting. But we're here. We're good to go, I think. I had a nice talk with AI, so I'm all good.
God, shit, seriously,
It's I don't know, man, it's pretty slick. But it
dude,
doesn't beat human
don't.
interaction. It doesn't
No,
beat human.
AI,
That's
AI
why
is
I
not your
talk to you.
fucking. AI
Dude,
is not.
it gives me some pretty good feedback.
No, Matt.
Dude, I still go to a therapist. Calm
I
down.
know I ain't gonna lose you to AI.
We can chat about that after. Got some intel for you.
I got some intel for you too.
Oh snap. All right, well, so that's the catch up here. Hey fam,
Catch up.
welcome back.
Changing
Yeah.
the subject.
Yeah, I'm trying to jump into your topic.
Well, this is all about our topic, man.
It is, but yeah, you're right.
I mean, the whole topic is strong on the outside, dying on the inside. People like you, people like me. It's about when you're the rock, and you're not the rock in everybody's life or the rock, but rock in somebody's life. But if you think about like people in your life that are like they're just solid, man. That they're strong, rugged. They can handle the shit. Sometimes it's a man, sometimes it's a woman. Sometimes it's your mother, sometimes it's a father, sometimes it's a leader. I mean, who knows? But they're just those strong people that can hold it together. They show up on time. They get their shit done. Dependable, and that's the strong on the outside. Because if you don't take care of shit, you die on the inside.
Yeah, it's
And nobody knows.
interesting. I wonder, like, that usually is me, right? I'm usually always on time, got together, like I know where my stuff is, I can find this, I can find that. But lately, trying to do all this stuff, it's like I don't know where my pocket is. I can't find like all these things. I'm running behind, but I'm like still here. So it's like, okay, do I need to have all that pressure normally? Is it okay to be messy, I guess is a way I would put it.
Well, for some people, yeah, it's messy. It's just, you're always there for somebody else. You always pick up the phone. I mean, I got people in my mind right now that I'm thinking of that I don't want to name here because, one of the crazy, at least
Yeah, it's their
like
thing.
one, at least another purpose, right? I told you one of the purposes why I responded to that lady about why I write about this stuff is because it's like therapy for me. Another reason is, and maybe the biggest reason, is when somebody reads it and it helps them. They just like, I mean, I've heard from numerous people on, the people on what I've written so far about I needed to hear that. Thank you. And other things. You get a lot of really positive feedback. And I don't do it because I want positive feedback. I mean, it is encouraging to me to know that you're helping people, but it's for the sake of helping people. It's not for the sake of making me feel like I'm better than whatever. You know what I mean? It's not that bullshit. And you got to be careful with that because then that goes into my ego, and I know how my ego can get the fuck out, can get all messed up. So it's like, so after I wrote this post, and for people who, listeners, evanfrancine.com, it's one of the blog posts on this series about mental health and the things. And it's just sharing my own struggles with this stuff. I'm not a therapist. I'm not qualified to diagnose shit, nothing like that, but we're all qualified to share our stories. And when you share your stories, for the people that can identify with those stories, they either are that person who's strong on the outside, dying on the inside, or have done that before, or they know somebody who's done that. And that one, it was kind of hard for me to write that. I mean, I cried I cried a couple of times at writing that one because I can remember like times when, I just started crying in my car because, when you're the strong one and it's lonely.
It like the crying like just sneaks up on you too. It's like, yep, you crack.
Yeah. And usually it's when you're alone somewhere
Mhm.
because you don't want anybody to see it. You don't want to let anybody down. You don't, that's part of the being the strong on the outside is not like you're physically strong. There's anything better about you than somebody else. It's just, I don't want to let people down. I want to be that for people because I want to help people because I love people.
Messing up costs lives.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I was talking about this today, like the military mindset. I think um adds an bless
Excuse me.
you adds like an interesting dynamic to this whole conversation because like we as humans can recognize like yep, it's okay to make mistakes,
Right.
but in the military like can't fucking make mistake, get your ass chewed, like you learn from it or like people die. um right, there's like all these things, so you have so much pressure to not make a mistake. And then there's how did you put it in your thing here? You had a quote. There's a war inside your mind and you're screaming. Like, yeah, it's crazy cuz like no one else can hear like the torture you're doing to yourself cuz there's
Yeah.
that high performance expectation and other people just don't get it. Or
Yeah.
I feel like they don't get it, but maybe they do.
I don't know, man, because I mean, that's the problem is this silence, the silence of not talking to other people. I don't know if they get it or not because I never asked them. I just went forward as this, trying to be there for people, be dependable. And sometimes it's as a father, you have kids, you have a wife, put at least the way I am or the way I think it's supposed to work is I'm supposed to provide. I'm supposed to, protect. My dad had a saying because he was a super wise man, in my opinion. He used to say, a real man goes to bed exhausted every single night. I was like, all right. And what he meant is you give your all every single day. And some days the results are different than others, but that's our job. And so I've taken that to heart in my life. And I joke around a lot because I try to make light of things. There's no sense. I can still work my ass off and not be like, and I can still have fun doing it. I can still joke around, but sometimes you joke around, at least for me, sometimes I joke around because I just want to lighten the mood. And sometimes I joke around to distract from what's going on inside too. You know what I mean?
Totally, for sure. You don't have to sit and deal with the feels. That kind of rhymes.
Yeah, man. You're a poet and you didn't know it.
I'm gonna start a book. No,
There you go.
probably not. No,
Why not?
fuck you. Don't put that out there.
I'm
I
telling you,
don't
man.
know. I don't know.
I think everybody's got a book inside of them. I think there are certain things that you've been through that other people will be inspired by. The one thing that always gets me or catches up to me is that silent piece because I also grew up an only child, so I'm comfortable being alone most of the time, and most of the time I prefer to be alone. I don't want to hang out with people. I'm good with people, but I'm an introvert. I'm exhausted.
Yeah, like even when I come to visit, you just fucking disappear. Like, where'd Evan go? And then you show up a few hours later, like, oh, there he is.
Yeah, that's the default for me. And so, but I've learned, I've said two sayings I've used a lot that come to mind. One is the wind blows the strongest at the top of the mountain. That means when you're the strong guy, the wind blows harder on you. When you're trying to be the strong person, it's good to do it. I mean, it's good to be the strong person. It's good to go out of your way and help other people. It's good to carry the weight if you're capable of carrying the weight. It's good to be dependable and step into the void. All that stuff is good. I'm not saying that, but there are times when it's overwhelming. It's too much. I can't take another damn thing. And you get in this like mold of everybody looks up to me, or, I mean, it might not even be true, but your mind is telling you that. And so it's like, I don't want to see them. I don't want them to see me like this right now. I don't want them to see me breaking down. I don't want them to see me crying in my car. And so it leads to this silence. And at some point, you got to realize it's all that's bullshit. It's okay to share, you know. And my wife has learned this from me because I think I've gotten better at it. But, it's eventually the cracks start to show because cracks like I'm shorter with people. I snap quick. Like you bother me, or I'm just like, because I'm at that point where like if you give me one more fucking thing to do today, bring me one more problem, I'm gonna snap. I'm just gonna fucking crack.
It's like that yesterday.
Yeah, and then that person walks in the room, and it might be your wife, it might be your kid, it might be a friend. And you're like, what? What do you want? What the fuck do you? And they're like, whoa, what did I do? I'm like, and if you're in that piece, that place, it's like, hopefully, logic rolls in really quick. You're like, oh shit, I'm sorry, man. I'm fucking overwhelmed right now. I've had too much.
It's a
It's not you.
skill.
You learn it for
It's a
sure.
skill that needs to be trained because my logic does not catch up yet.
Right.
Apparently, there's times where you need to do that more than others.
It's totally true. When you learn it, sometimes, sometimes you learn it by doing it. Now, how do you learn wisdom?
But just by going through it and pain, like we talk about,
Fuck yeah. And I keep reminding myself that, like, all right, this hurts. If I approach this right, if I get to do it with my eyes open, and even getting to learning that shit came with pain. I don't want to be sitting in my damn car crying anymore. You know what I mean? I don't want to snap at my wife again. I don't want to snap at my kids again when they did nothing wrong. Why did I snap at them? Well, because I didn't learn. I don't know how to cope with being this person supposed to be strong on the outside. I don't know how to offload my shit. And that's what it comes down to. It's like offloading your shit.
and you can. So, like for me, I've been doing things that I thought were helping offload it, but really I was just taking on more stuff. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna work out because working out helps with your physical and mental health. Like, we're gonna golf, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. But I'm just taking on more stuff and not really giving the brain the space it needs. So you're not doing what you think you're doing.
Yeah. It's an unhealthy rut. It's like a lack of self-care. It's a lack of, you know, healthy shit for yourself. That's the thing. I mean, I'm no good to anybody if I'm not good to myself. If I'm not healthy myself, how am I going to be able to help somebody else be healthy? But that's the thing with like this being this strong person. It's like you want to show no weakness, right? No vulnerability. And people, when they think of you, like, oh, that dude's tough or that lady's tough or whatever on the outside. But I think on the inside, I think everybody's soft, man. You know what I mean?
Everyone's gushy on the inside.
Yeah. I started to realize this when I started watching like some of that sappy movie shit that my wife likes to watch.
Hey,
That was
some of them are good movies, all right, man.
I was
I enjoy
crying.
watching movies with you guys.
Yeah, I was crying on the last one, but on Tuesday night, right before I left, it was the movie Nanas.
Oh, that's on my list. I haven't checked it out yet.
Yeah, Nanas on Netflix. That's what the one that Marlis wanted to watch. So we watched that, and I'm crying. She's like, "Are you crying again?" I'm like, "No, shut
Don't
up."
look at me.
Yeah, go back to your watching the movie.
I'm gonna go get
Yeah,
a drink of water.
yeah. But so, how do people? Because I know tough people in my life, and after I wrote this one, there was one in particular who reached out to me, and he didn't say that he had read my article. He was just sharing, man. I'm going through a lot of shit right now. When I've known him for years, and he never shared any of this stuff with me before. It was like another level of like intimacy. It was like, all right, what's up, dude? What's going on? He's like, well, I've been traveling too much. I've been taking on too many things on this, on that. And it was listing them off. And to top it all off, I've got some tax issues and just like, fuck, all right. That's a lot of, and I don't, and I'm in my mind, I'm like, you got to tread lightly, I think, because I'm not like a therapist or anything, but I'm a guy who gives a shit and cares. I want to make things better. I don't want to make things worse. So I was like, well, what's like the one thing that's like paralyzing you right now? I mean, is there one thing that like kind of on your mind more than all the other things right now? And he said, the tax thing because it's affecting his marriage. And I was like, all right. And then I just shared my own stories. I remember I had a tax problem back in like 2000. I don't know what year that was, probably 2011, maybe, because my taxes had gotten too complicated for me to do myself. It was the first time I'd ever hired a tax professional, like not H&R Block kind of thing, but like
Like a
an accountant.
real person for all
Yeah.
the things.
Yeah. Because the business was getting too complicated and it was an LLC. So that means it's passed through, to the owners, which is one of them's me. And so it was just too complicated. Well, somewhere in that transition, there was a tax year where I forgot to pay taxes. I don't know if I forgot or what, but, and so it was like a couple of years later, and I was doing some work up in northern Minnesota with a customer, and my wife called. I'm like, hey, what's up? And she goes, there's IRS agents at our house. No shit, for what? And they're like, did you not pay taxes in the year whatever? I'm like, I'm pretty sure I paid taxes. I know not to mess with the tax man. I'm pretty sure I paid him. And she's like, well, they said you didn't pay him. I'm like, all right, I'll check when I get back home, whatever. And I thought for sure I'd paid him. And I go back home and I'm looking through my tax records. I'm like, holy crap, I didn't pay him. All right. So what do you do? Well, they were nice, man, because they knew I wasn't trying to defraud them or anything. They just put me on a payment plan. And at that time, I didn't have any money really. The business was new. So I just paid it. I think it took like 5 years maybe to pay it. It's like monthly payments or something. So I shared that. I just shared my own story about that. And then I shared the story about like when I lost my house, when we first started FR Secure. I had 4 kids, I mean, it was a tough time, man. It was hard to go through that. But the things it did, I think it actually helped my marriage, not at the time, but in the end, because I would rather live in a cardboard box with my wife than live in a mansion by myself. That's and so I just shared my own stories. I wasn't not trying to fucking say psychoanalyze you or treat you or anything. Just sharing with what I can relate to that. I can relate to what you're going through right now. And it was like I think it helped him realize like this huge frustration, and all this stress you're carrying. It's not the end of the world. In perspective, it's not. I look back at those days and I look back at those things and I realize that they weren't nearly as big as I thought they were. You wouldn't know that unless either you go through it, right? So you just can either have to continue to be that strong guy, toughen up, and just go through it, and you'll find out yourself that all right, yeah, I didn't die, it's good. Or you can listen to somebody, but the only way you're going to listen to somebody is so somebody knows. And so I can share with you that it's not the end of the world, man. I've been through it too, and we got done with that conversation, and he was like, "I feel so much better." And then I said, "Did you read my damn blog? Did you read my blog post? Is that why we're here?" He's like, "Yeah, I read it." I'm like, "So it helped." It's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "That's the point." I don't. I'm not like I said. I'm not a therapist. I'm not trained in any of this stuff. But what I can do and what you can do and what everybody can do is share their own stories because you can't deny my story. It's
It's your
it's what
story.
happened. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
what happened. And if you can relate to it, and you're like, "Oh, so you turned out okay." I didn't. Yeah, it's all good, man. But you've been on the other side too. What's the bad thing? I mean, you've been here before, haven't you? Like when you're like, I can't. You just mentioned like you yesterday, day before. You're like,
Oh yeah, so like yesterday in the office where, I just had a breakdown last week and then, I'm putting all this pressure on myself internally and almost creating my own anxiety to where like I think everyone's plotting against me, everybody's talking about me, like I know this shit's not like subconsciously I know it's not happening, but like the real part of the brain is like, yep, this is going on. You're done. It's just like we've talked about when I've been down there, right? It's just like a crazy place that my brain ends up going. So then like I'm at this peak and then, I go away for the weekend, I come back, I start telling people like, all right, man, I'm chilling. I'm just doing my thing. I'm not going to take on anything else. And then something comes up at work and like no one jumps in to take initiative. Everybody just like looks at me. And I'm like, well, fuck, guess I gotta do it. And then like you start going and going, and then when you get the end, you can't even write a story about how stupid this thing is. And it's like I can't take like I'm done. I can't take any more of this. Just drop the headset and like walk away, and everyone is just looking at me like, you're like at the end of your rope, I guess. Like, how is this? I don't know. It's crazy.
do you feel yeah, do you feel lonely when you go through that?
Yes, I feel lonely because, well, I guess there's two different perspectives, right? One could be my personality is, this is where I'm trying to be introspective. My personality is strong, so people don't want to help because I'm loud and take over. Or the other side is people really don't know and they like don't want to help. I could see both happening, or one happens one time, one happens another time. I don't know, but yeah, so like that's work, and then after work, I don't not married, no kids, so I come home and then it's just like I'm looking at my cat, and my cat doesn't talk back. So
That's one of the things that makes dogs and cats the best, though.
it's true. She does well. She'll complain, but I don't care.
Yeah, because and that's one of the upcoming blog posts is what real help looks like. It'll come off like because these I've been dropping these things like every couple of days. And it's not like it'll come off like I'm giving advice on like what real help looks like. Like all I'm saying is what's helped me and what hasn't helped me. You know what I mean? What doesn't help me, sometimes I don't want your damn advice. I just want you to hear me. I just want you to acknowledge that I'm here and I want you to tell me you love me. Show me some love because this tough guy on the outside who's got his shit together, that's dependable, can take anything. Yeah, I'm in a weak spot. I need you to just give me some love. Just say I love you. That'll be enough. I don't need you to fucking give me advice. I don't need you to tell me what I did wrong. Because trust me, I already know what I fucking did wrong. The thing about a lot of this stuff is I'm my own worst critic. I'm my own worst enemy. But I know what I've fucked up before you have to tell me what I fucked up. Because, I'm hard on myself all the time. And that's part of, I think, being this strong thing. And there are times when it's just, I've had enough. I can't handle it anymore. I made some shitty choices. I should have said no to more things. I should have, whatever. And the shoulda shit, fine. That's not going to help you either. The shoulda, unless you're going into the shoulda with like, all right, what can I do better next time so that I don't find myself here again? And if you're really honest about this stuff, if you're really honest about being strong on the outside, dying on the inside, if you're honest about how you got here, it's because you didn't talk to somebody, because you didn't open up, because you didn't let your guard down for a little bit, and you're going to find yourself here again. You're going to find yourself in your crying alone in the car again. You're going to find yourself drinking again to numb it. You're going to find yourself lying awake in the bed at 3 o'clock in the morning with your mind going crazy, your heart pounding. Like, what the fuck? I got too much shit to, you know what I mean? That's going to happen again unless you talk about it, unless you open up, unless you let your guard down and you let people know that, yeah, I'm still dependable. I'm still strong. I'm still tough. I can still handle shit to a point. Everybody's got a point. I mean, nobody can handle it all. Jesus, that's it. You ain't Jesus. I ain't Jesus. I can handle, and it's crazy too, because like physical pain, you know, I've always had a high pain tolerance. Like I could take a lot of physical pain, the motorcycle accidents and just a lot of stupid shit that I've done over the years. But the emotional pain, that's a tough one, man. I can suppress it, I can medicate it, but at some point it just keeps coming back. I got to deal with it.
Yeah, the brain is more powerful, right? Because with physical pain, your brain can actually like turn that off, like the receptors and all that, but you can't turn off the actual brain.
Well, in physical pain too, I can feel it. I mean, like physically, and I can usually just block it out. I can just put it in its own little compartment because none of the physical pains I've had over the years have, they go away. They heal, right? It has nothing to do with me like thinking about it and stuff like that. They heal and stuff. So I don't worry about it. Just put it in this box. But the emotional pain doesn't work like that. The emotional trauma and stuff, if you don't confront it, it just gets worse. I can ignore the physical pain. The physical pain you might medicate, you might put a bandage on it, you might get stitches, whatever, but then just let it go. It's going to heal. The body just heals that shit. Then the mental stuff, it doesn't heal. It doesn't just like get better. You actually have to like think about it, confront it. You know, I, when I share that story about, being molested as a child, I didn't realize how much that had kind of carried with me over the years until I started like, hey, what the hell is that? And start like confronting it and then talking about it. And that's one of the cool things about talking about shit is it disarms it. It acknowledges that
Takes the
it's there.
power away.
It totally does. Because so much of it is like acknowledging that it's there. I think a lot of times when you're in this strong mind, you're just like, oh no, that's fine. Just fuck it. You just ignore that shit. Fuck up, handle it. But, when you start to talk about it, it's like the power's gone a little bit. And then you keep like thinking about it a little bit and working with other people. And then pretty soon it's like it has no power over me anymore. It's like, so I could talk about my own experiences being molested as a child openly, and it doesn't bother me at all. I don't lose any sleep over it. The power's gone. But it all started with talking to somebody. It's crazy because when I've done that, the first time I ever talked about that was like at a men's group. And I don't know, I think there was probably 6, 7 men after that talk that came up to me and shared their own stories. And most of them said they'd never talked to anybody about it before. I'm like, so you were carrying this shit all these years, you know what I mean? And now and now you finally feel like you can talk about it, confront it. You know what I mean?
Because you created the safe space by being the first one.
I think that's a lot of times what we're doing, right?
That's the other internal brain struggle is like, why do I always have to be the first one? Well, if you want it to happen,
We
you
don't
gotta
always
do
have to
it.
be the first one, man. If you look around, you'll find others that are sharing it too. Maybe you're the first one in your own little circle or, whatever. But I've never seen a single problem that I've talked about in my own life that I couldn't find somebody else who'd already talked about it. None of this stuff is earth shattering shit. It's like, wow, high functioning depression and anxiety. Did you invent that? No, man. That's been around forever. I just, when I was writing this article, it was like, is this called something? And you start looking around, it's like high functioning depression and anxiety. So then you read about that, and it's like, damn it, that's what it is. Because I think that's another thing that really helps is when you put a name to it. Because when you put a name to something, it like makes it reality in your mind. And if something's real, then it's really hard to deny that it's not because you already fucking made it real. I don't know. Weird. But I do know that when I haven't talked to people, I do totally become my own worst enemy with all this shit. I feel empty, lonely, disconnected, angry on the inside. And it's like, and then somebody shows up at your door or a friend comes over or you got to go to work the next day. And it's like, all right, let's go, and you pack it up and you get put on this face that ain't even real. You do that?
Every morning almost.
Yeah. What have you been doing about it? Anything? You planning on doing anything about it?
I'm just trying to do less right now. Canceled some meetings. I'm not trying to fix all the problems. Like, it's almost like every day I identify a problem and work on a new slide deck and set up a meeting to talk about it to raise awareness. So I'm putting all that shit on the side and just slowing down.
Slide decks?
Slide decks, Google Slides.
So when you say that, I feel like I got PTSD.
I'm
That
sorry.
No, don't be sorry, man. But it
400
is.
slides.
Oh yeah, God help me. But that's it. It's crazy, man. Because I think this high functioning depression thing, it's icky.
Totally.
I mean, because there's days when, like this last couple weeks, I think I would have been. I could have easily the old me. I don't know if I've changed or what, but I think the old me would have been like overwhelmed, angry, frustrated, pissed off, whatever. Inside, on the outside, you keep it together and everything. But for some reason, this last couple of weeks, I've been amazed at how like I don't feel stressed. I'm tired because I haven't got enough sleep, but I don't feel angry. I don't feel frustrated. I feel generally, pretty grateful, happy, thankful. So it's that's a tricky thing I'm trying to figure out in my own personal life is like what makes it different this time. What is because I
Yeah.
talked about it?
It's
Was it
like,
because I talked about it?
it's hard to be aware and acknowledge in the moment, like what it was that shifted that experience.
Yeah, I do know that during the last couple of weeks, I did openly share often. Just hey, I'm busy. You know, I, I got a lot of shit on my plate right now. Whatever. I think I did talk about it a lot. You know what's really been helpful for me too the last month has been these my one-on-ones that I have with my executive team.
You
Because we
say
do.
you don't really talk about business in those. You're just like
We don't.
shooting it.
I don't want to talk about business. I mean, I assume, I mean, we have business meetings when we have business meetings, and I assume that things are the way they were the last time we talked about them, you know, or what we agreed with the plan and everything. And if things have gotten off the rails, or they look concerning, we should have a strong enough relationship where you'd bring that up to me. We don't have to wait for a one-on-one, or you could bring it up in the one-on-one, but we have to have this like rapport with each other. You have to feel like you can trust me. You have to feel like you know me. That when I start talking about like shit that we need to do, there's no like, you know, ulterior motive.
Question or
Yeah, there's no
tension.
ulterior motive or nothing. You know me. And so I think that's been really helpful now that I think about it, having these one-on-ones, because Sharon Drew Boke's, vice president of sales,
He's a riot.
isn't he, man? I saw him today because he was in, that's where I am now. I'm in Minnesota, and he stopped by and like instantly. And I shared with him, like, man, every time you walk in the room, like, you lift my spirits. You're just one of those kind of people that
He's a
does that.
ball of energy.
Yeah, for sure. But I think maybe that's what's helped, though, this last couple of weeks. I'm going to have to analyze this more, mentally myself.
I want to think what helped me a little bit was just being away from the city last weekend. I was
Yeah.
up in the woods. Maybe we go out, sit 4:30 in the morning. I hear nothing but birds and trees and shit. Real easy to fall asleep. Real freaking boring, but that's like nothing else is happening, you know?
That's,
So that's kind of cool.
I was told when I was getting sober, I got a lot of good advice from a lot of people, while I was going through the harder times. It's a lifestyle thing now, so it's not hard anymore. But the one of the guys said you got to start getting comfortable with the mundane. I was like, comfortable with the mundane? That sounds boring. He goes, exactly, because that's what it's. I don't need the fucking drama.
Well, and you've told me that too. Like we've talked and I'm like, yeah, like I don't know what content is. And you're just like, yep, you'll figure it out. Well, I guess it's helpful when you say that. But I mean, I talk about that in therapy too, like, or like last week we were talking about feelings, like what does content feel like? I don't know if I'm feeling content or if I'm just angry at myself. I don't, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah. I told you about my therapist started talking to me about feelings. I was like, I don't know. I don't. So how you feeling today, Evan? I'm like me. I'm feeling like me right now. And he's like, well, what's that? I'm like, me.
Yeah, man.
And he's like, you don't even know what feelings are. I mean, eventually, he finally got to the point, like, do you know what feelings are? And I'm like, yeah, happy. That's a feeling, right? I'm happy, but I'm not happy right now. I'm just me.
Maybe that's what we should do. Have an episode where we talk about feelings. I still have the paperwork.
Oh, so he had to teach me feelings. He gave me a whole handout of like a whole bunch of feeling words, and I'm like, those are oh, all right. So a lot. I've heard of these words before, but I didn't know what a lot of them I think meant. But then when he forced me to like learn what these are, I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, so shit, yeah, 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 yeah. I was disappointed. Didn't know that. I mean, I guess it's obvious now that that's what disappointed meant, but I couldn't really identify when I was feeling that. I just cool, I
It's
guess.
just like one big ball of feelings and like can't pull out each like one to experience it is like how I would explain it.
And I think that's probably maybe that's is that. Do you think that maybe that's one of the things on the strong on the outside people is like I think the only feeling I
Ball it up.
no, I think the only feeling the only word I could figure out to use with my therapist was numb.
Totally.
He's like, "How you feeling?" Numb.
Blah. I use blah.
Yeah, I'm not overly excited or happy. I'm not angry. I'm not frustrated. I'm not. just numb, man. It's just my day. It's just another day, and I love it. It's great. I think whatever.
Well, so this just popped in my head. Here's another thought-provoking piece. We were talking about me being on medication. So like when I was drinking and you're going through all the addiction and the drama, there's like highs. You're peaking highs, but then you're also like peaking lows. Now you remove that drama, those experiences, and I'm on medication. It's almost like I'm flatlined like all the time. So because I had so much differentiation, like I don't know how to identify it when it
Interesting.
isn't that extreme.
Yeah.
I wonder if that could be a thing.
Talk to your therapist about it, man. I mean, that's
I
I don't
think
know.
I got an appointment next week or something like that. I'll be there.
I mean, it seems to make sense, but
Uh,
I do know that
I just say random shit.
no, but it's truthful random shit. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, even with this high functioning depression and anxiety thing, like through all the drinking days, multiple DWIs, jail time, and it's been 20, 20 what, 24 years. It'll be 24 years in August that I've been sober. But through all that stuff, I might have missed work because I couldn't go to work because I was in jail, but they didn't know I was in jail. I just personal issues, whatever.
They didn't have internet back then.
Oh, I know they had internet. Uh, but that was the thing, man. I was dying on the inside, making lots of shitty choices, living a shitty life in certain places. Like at work, you would never know it.
Keep telling yourself you got it under control.
Yeah. I didn't miss work. I didn't fall apart in public. You would have no idea unless you were with me in those places or unless I had told you. And it wasn't until the last time it was obvious. I wasn't going to be able to hide this one from work because it had now spilled over into work. It's hard to show up for work and not miss work when, I'm in jail. I mean, I could explain a couple days, but it was longer than that. And it had also finally come to a front where, I needed to be honest about it and everything. But it was definitely down on the inside. But again, I think the key to all of it is sharing it with somebody. It's talking with somebody. It's getting it out. And the lie is like if I tell somebody else about this shit, that's going to make me weak. It's going to make me appear to be weak. They're no longer going to respect me. They're not going to come to me. They're not going to trust me with shit to do. Whatever. I mean, all those lies go through your mind, and then you do tell people, and it's crazy because the truth is the exact opposite happens. They trust you more. They see you as more dependable than you were before. They see you as more real. They can relate to you. So it's like strong on the outside, dying on the inside. And I think I got to keep all this shit together, some fucking facade about it all. And then eventually it catches up to you. And it was all a game that I just played in my fucking mind. None of it ever had to happen that way. I could have been just transparent, genuine, open from the beginning, still been a dependable person that you could trust, not miss work. If anything, it makes it easier for me to fucking show up for work and all this other stuff. And everything's better. I mean, it's like this self-made like bullshit, like my mind is telling me nobody can find out who I really am. Nobody can find out that, I got feelings. How the fucking dare they find out I have feelings? Like Evan cries? What the fuck? Evan's not supposed to cry. He's supposed to be a tough guy. Evan fucking cries. You know what I mean? Probably more than you do. So it's crazy how we make this own like prison for ourselves in this place. It doesn't have to be this way. Yeah. You become, I think, more admired when you're honest and trustworthy. Or, just honest and transparent with this shit.
I would agree. I think we need it to be more common because it seems like a lot of people just carry stuff.
I think a lot of people, yeah. I mean, some people it comes more natural probably to share that shit. Because I think the other side, right? It's like this, like you said, like the highs and the lows. It's like I don't have to carry it all, but I also don't need to complain all the damn time either. You know what I mean? I also don't need to be the person that's like, oh, I'm not capable of carrying that shit. That's hard. You know, I mean, it's like I don't need to be fucking Superman, but I also don't need to be a pussy. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like where's the spot and operate there because, that's kind of the healthy place I think to operate.
that's the healthy place to operate, but that's not where my brain and where I was trained to be.
Well, you bring up a great point, right? Trained. I grew up in, you're a military man, a Marine. I grew up in a Marine household, you know, career Marine and a 6 year Marine, only child. Yeah, toughen up, get your shit together.
Hmm.
I appreciate that because there are times when you just got to push through it.
I mean, it's 100% valuable. And I was talking to one of my other friends about this week. I get so confused. Not confused, disappointed. I think I'll use that. I'm disappointed because in the corporate world, it seems like I get to. There's a spider right here I was looking at. I get to fit in and adapt to the corporate culture, and it always seems like tone it down, you're intense. Ooh, smashed it. This isn't the military, it's the corporate world, it's different. So, what I hear is I have to adapt and change, but no one is willing to hear what the military was like and why we can't have more discipline and accountability from the military in the corporate world. It's almost like it's off balance to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see your point, man. It would be nice if it was a blend of the two.
Yes.
Yeah. I can see that for sure. And there's a reason why on the military thing, there's a reason why there's such a high suicide rate for military personnel, especially the ones that are transitioning from the military into the private sector,
But fucking hard.
right? But who talks about it openly?
Not
I mean,
many people.
have you lost friends to suicide before?
So in high school, I did, and then there's some guys that I was with in the military, but like I didn't really know them. But
Yeah.
yeah, close.
Yeah. I can see that because my own son, he was also in the military and watching him sort of adjust. I don't know why we have to treat it. It's because it's the same thing in information security and cyber security, right? Like, not the same thing, but there's some similarities between what I do for a living, what you do for a living, and the other world sort of thing, right? Like you see people do things, and you're like, that makes absolutely no fucking sense why you would do that. I mean, take a minute, a second, and just think before doing that, and because I've struggled, you know, combine this with my wife has always been somebody who wants to help me. She's very perceptive. She can see when things are bothering me when other people can't. And but the sad thing is I could share with you what's stressing me out right now, but you wouldn't get it. And that alone feels isolating. That alone feels lonely. So take that to like military people. You try to share like the frustrations you're having and they don't get it. And they don't get it.
Because when you're there, it's like just all of us, and we can talk about whatever, however, like no big deal. But then as we get integrated back into society, like it's all everyone's farther apart. Like I don't have rack mates or, none of that stuff anymore. Everyone's got lives and families and stuff, and life goes fast. So how do you talk about the mental part about integrating? Now I have a pretty strong opinion about people transitioning that can't get jobs or like can't get money and like end up homeless. I have a strong feeling about how they get there. But the mental side and transitioning on that point, I definitely see that as a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. In future episodes, so we have, a bunch of episodes coming up still, about more of these things. And we're going to start bringing guests in. I wanted to do the first couple of them, just me and you, so we could get the ball rolling a little bit. But I'd really love to hear more. That's one thing I really appreciate is when people share their perspectives on shit. I grew up on base in a military world, but I wasn't military. I wasn't deployed anywhere. I didn't have to go through boot camp. Well, I kind of did have to go through boot camp. It was just a different boot camp than you had. You know what I mean? It
Your
was,
dad made sure you got
yeah, but I wasn't held to the same standard in some ways.
you didn't have to brush your teeth and shave and stuff by the numbers. That was fucking ridiculous.
I had a couple things that were different in my childhood than a lot of people's childhood. It's my job to clean the bathrooms in the morning.
Pubic
Uh,
hairs.
yeah, and the pubic hairs and the porcelain. My dad fucking hated pubic hairs and the porcelain.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I had to get down there and look for if my dad found a piece of pubic hair on the porcelain, oh shit. And we had the rule that, if I have to tell you to do something, it's too late. So I was always paying attention to like, all right, what's he gonna think? Like, is this cool? Or is there, did I leave something laying on the floor? Did I not put something away? Because it wasn't like unreasonable. Like, I had to tell you to get me something to eat. It's not that kind of thing. It's
Like you finish your cereal and it's still on the table, something like that. Like put
yeah,
your
do
bowl in the sink
no,
or
do the
whatever.
fucking dishes, wash that shit, put it back. And it was, yeah, my bed was like you had to make your bed in the military. That's the way it was for me as a
4 inches
child.
of white, 945-degree corner,
Yeah, and he would lift up my mattress to make sure that I
tucked
did it
in
right.
tight.
Yeah. And I had inspections. My inspections when I was learning to use the toilet, my inspections were to hand my father my underwear.
White glove with your own underwear. Interesting.
Right?
Nice.
It was just different, man. But
Oh, so
I,
do you feel comfortable putting them on? Ooh, that's a slick.
right, right. But
I should have done that. That would have been a good idea.
yeah, I certainly appreciated that. I've grown to appreciate it because I'm not like that now. I mean, I never did that with my kids. But what he was trying to drive home with all that shit was to do shit, to do it right. If you're to commit, like if you're going to do something, do it.
Attention to detail.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. Don't waste my time. Yeah, it was fantastic shit. But
Like
I've
you
heard enough.
think we got messed with all the time before we went to OIF fucking 4 or whatever it was. Like they would come in and trash our rooms and like find dust and all this stuff everywhere and it's like you guys are just fucking with us. But then like you get over there and like there's IEDs everywhere. You you're driving, you're like, was that trash there yesterday? Was that garbage can there yesterday? Like those are the smallest things that will save someone's life. So it sucks, but it has a purpose.
It really does. Yeah. Well, there's so many things that I think the military can bring to the private sector there's things that you bring in your role that nobody else could bring. I mean, they're uniquely you, they're uniquely grown from the military. So it's not so much, and we don't expect the private sector to change, right? To become that. But what we
No,
do
that it
expect,
wouldn't work.
no, we expect a blend. Like, what's the mix that's going to make this work well?
It goes back to what you're always talking about is just accountability. I think, right, we always talk about accountability starts at the top, but what is also missing is the peer accountability. Like, I would fight my friends, we would fight each other, yell at each other. Like, you gotta correct somebody, man. Don't, it is what it is. But we don't do that. You've talked about it a lot too, where how do you say it, like you compromise one thing and then another and then another and then another, and then like eventually you're just so far off track, and people that are not, I would say, that don't have the same experience that military people have can't see how to get back because they're so far over here. But for me, it's like just fucking snap back because that's what you have to do. So I get frustrated that it just can't happen like that.
Right. Well, how much, I think going back to this, because there's a great tie-in with all this, about being strong on the outside, dying on the inside, and then sharing this stuff and sharing the frustrations of in different perspectives. How many of these things could be corrected if or made better if people would just talk, right? If there was an opportunity for you to share what it's like to be these frustrations of integrating, of accountability, of these things in a business setting, which would be good for the business, by the way, because there's pieces in there that are critically important that could make the business a hell of a lot better. Yet there's this just chalking up to, oh,
It's the
he's just
military.
he's just a fucking Marine. Or yeah, it's just the military. We're not the military. That's the comeback, right? That's the excuse. This isn't the military.
That just
I
makes
wasn't
me more frustrated.
well, the fact of the matter is I wasn't asking you to become the military, so shut the fuck up for a minute.
Listen
I'm not
to, yeah,
yeah, I'm not stupid. This isn't going to be the Marine Corps, but don't you think there are some things that are really awesome in the Marine Corps or less so in the Navy, less so in the Army, even way
right.
less so in the Air Force,
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean, we got the Space Force now. I don't even know what the fuck
Right.
happens there.
Semper Fi, brother. So like,
But there's
are
a
there some
reason. I mean,
yeah.
it can't happen, but like, it's a reason it's the most successful business on the planet. And I always go back to what corporate world, I think it starts with what the corporate world does not do and what the military does do, and that's train. We don't train people. It's like, man, I need you to start, rocking the security thing. I need you to do the thing, do that, do that. No one actually sits you down and spends time with you to like teach you anything. That doesn't happen in the corporate world,
Well, and like you said, if you did, the investment up front, yes, it's more of an investment up front, but the payoff,
gigantic.
huge, right? The return on investment in that's why the military does it. Plus, I mean, it would be nice if you were trained on how to use a rifle before we just gave you a rifle,
Yes,
in
that
battle,
is, you figure that out in boot camp too. Yeah,
right?
when guys get smacked in the back of the head because they're being stupid.
Can you imagine if we did that? If we went the other way on the military thing, like, all right, welcome to the Marine Corps. Here's your gun. We'll see you out there on the battlefield. All right, let's go.
I'm pretty sure that's what they did in like World War II and shit.
I was watching a documentary on the plane, just started it on World War One.
Hmm.
World War Two, I think they got it a little bit better, but in World War One, it was just like that.
There
They
you
were
go. Get in the trench.
covering like it was from the perspective of the British, these British young lads, I guess, and they were all just signing up for it because I thought it would be fun. you know, yeah, let's go fight the Germans, let's go. And so they were all signing up and they were having fun and it was exciting and it was cool. And then here's your gun. You're like, oh, cool. This is fun. And they shoot it like, wow, I love this. This is so much fun. And then they put you in a fucking trench and then you get, and when you show up on the front lines, right, there's a whole bunch of dead people there that didn't
Yeah,
get to come off the front lines because they continue to rotate those lines. And so somebody would go out like, what the fuck? Why does it smell so bad here?
I can't imagine what it was like back
And
then or
then
even Vietnam.
then they were telling stories of like how, they would get before they become sort of battle hardened, like the first couple times on the line, they were like, just so like interested and curious and shit. And so, one of them would, one of their friends was like, what's on the other side? And they poke their head up and bam. Yeah. And I'm like, shit. All right, let's not do that.
Don't do that one.
I
Only
mean,
do
it's,
it at nighttime.
well, yeah. Or if at all. I mean, shit. And some of those, fuck, it was crazy. But I think that's what we do with a lot of, people on the job. Like, all right, here you go. And they're all excited. And then they get into the work and they're like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, me neither. Let's have fun.
I don't want to break anything. Well, that's how we figure out how shit works is we break it.
Yeah.
We
Or even worse, like there's this fear of failure and fear of breaking things. So then they just like, what's the safe thing to do? Okay. And then still you don't have any training and you're all learning through like osmosis kind of thing. And so eventually you're going to make the mistake. And yeah, anyway, so this strongman thing, man, if there's one thing I got for a takeaway, it's doing just what we're doing right now. Just having genuine, transparent, honest conversations. It can be with a spouse, it can be with a friend, it can be with somebody. And if there is nobody, find somebody. You know what I mean? I'm a hell. One of the things I've learned about being strong is I'm so much stronger when I surround myself with the right people. Like I realize that there's some things I'm really good at, and there's a lot of things I'm not good at. And so I'm always, not always, I'm learning to be on the lookout for people that can do the things that either I'm not willing to do or I'm not good at, and being honest about it, sharing with other people like, Evan, do this, do that, or whatever. I'm not good at that, like hacking nowadays. I was talking to one of the guys because I'm in the office. Like I transitioned from player to coach a few years ago. There was a day when I did a lot of shit that was really cool and blah, 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 but I don't do that anymore. I can't do that anymore. I'm a coach now. I could coach you and I can't coach you on the details and the intimate shit because I don't have those abilities anymore. What I can teach you is a lot of the stuff we're talking about here,
processes.
critical thinking, recklessness, you know, the basics, the fundamentals, those things have never changed. I'm not impressed with you being able to use, you know, the cool tools as much as I am impressed about knowing what the cool tools do, knowing how to interpret the results, knowing how to read a fucking network packet. I'm much more impressed with that than what you can do, you know, with whatever open source tool or whatever shit you're using now. Like Nmap is still my favorite fucking tool. It didn't change. I mean, they've added things, but still, I think one of the best fucking tools.
I'm lazy. I use ZenMap.
Well, just the pretty Windows UI in front of it. It's still the
Yeah.
same thing.
Helped me find out when the guys say, I think the port on the server's closed. Well, let me check.
I think the
No,
port on the server's closed.
no, it's open.
Well, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, you think the port on the server's closed?
Don't you know because you're the system admin?
Why don't you fucking check that shit and just
Yeah.
tell me what the hell's going on?
How do I do that? Well, net stat.
Right.
Yeah, that's like the whole crazy thing.
Netstat. Wow, has that always been there?
What the fuck is that? Do I have to download that?
But they say, has that always been there? Yes, it's always been there since NT351. As far as I mean, I don't know what was before that. That's kind of when I started using servers, but it was there then.
Well, so I did find out I was on a Linux box the other day and I was trying to do traceroute. Linux does not always have traceroute. Some of the distros you have to install it. I thought that was frustrating,
Yeah, I'm sure there's
but
distros. I mean,
eye-opening.
that's that. I'm sure there's distros that don't have netstat too, right? I mean, there are libraries that you
But with,
sometimes have to add depending on the distro.
but if it's Windows, you got it all. Yeah, 'cause
Do you remember
Windows sucks.
before? So there's before now, the the kernels in the much older distributions were all monolithic, which means, you had to recompile the kernel when you added shit to it.
Well, the old Windows.
No, the old Linux distros. You had to recompile the kernel sometimes, and sometimes certainly if you were going to add hardware to the box. So if I was going to add a new display, a new ISA card, I was going to have to recompile the kernel because I had to hook the drivers.
Oh, because they hooked in before boot up.
No, they were just they had to integrate with the kernel essentially because the kernel is it's the it's the traffic cop for everything for the OS, right? It sits between you, the user, all the applications, and the hardware. So nothing from the UI. This is the way it's supposed to be. There's
Yeah,
always
it's ring
vulnerabilities,
zero, right?
right? So it's that interface between the hardware and the applications, all that other stuff. Really, I mean, operating systems really have like two main functions: hardware control and application control. That's what makes the computer like useful, to you and me and shit. So every time you wanted to add, new hardware, you had to recompile the kernel, which, wasn't like rocket science. It's just painful as shit sometimes and took a long time, especially when your drivers were written like shit or whatever. I don't know. It just
So then you
sucks
would write your own. You would rewrite the driver yourself and make
occasionally.
it
Yeah.
better. I
Occasionally.
don't. I don't know what any of that looks like. That'd be cool to learn, I think.
You could learn that. It was good because
I need a
it's
teacher.
how
I don't like
tell
struggling
you how
on that
things work.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. All right. Well, what's next week? Next week, we're talking
I
about
got the. Sorry.
no,
Go
you got the
ahead.
what? No, you got the
Well,
what?
I have a couple things I wanted to inject here.
Inject away, my friend.
Yeah, yeah. So some call to actions.
CTA?
Yes, CTA. Acknowledge your mental state without shame. Start therapy before you're broken. Build boundaries. Detox your digital life. I'm working on that one. Create human connection. If you were unaware, 81% of Gen Z and 68% of millennials leave their job due to mental health reasons. That's a Spill Chat resource. Pretty interesting numbers there. I don't know if it's something with generations, but maybe it's technology. Who knows? Use your platform for honesty, not just clicks. Be a creator who shares the whole story. Join the story with us. You're not weak for hurting. You're just a human. You're not alone. Don't be scared to talk about it. We're always here to listen. Let's normalize support and therapy. Don't forget to check out Evan's blog. He's got all these great topics going. And if this episode helped you, share it. Don't let someone wear their mask alone.
Dude, I'll state it. Yeah. So next week is the third entry in this. And honestly, next week, I think I'll be in a much better mental state to be more prepared for that episode. I think it'll just get better and better. This week's episode, I'm in a hotel room and like zero preparation for this shit,
Appreciate
just the way
you.
life is. I appreciate you too, man.
You're showing up no matter what. You're being strong, which we need to talk about.
Well, we are talking about it. I
And
mean,
we did talk about it.
this stuff is good therapy. Next week, it's the ADHD mind in a 24/7 world. And so for the people who have ADHD, I think you'll be like, hell yeah, somebody who gets me. Because the thing is about ADHD is a lot of people say they have ADHD. They don't have ADHD. They've never been, because in some cases in the cybersecurity industry, people think it's cool. You got, yeah, ADHD. I got ADHD. It's like, you talk about it like it's cool. It ain't cool. It's fucking not. And if you truly had ADHD, you'd know that it's frustrating as hell. I let people down a lot because there's certain things I just can't do. And there's lots of people. The thing is I know what I need to do. I know it crystal clear. I can't do it, or I can do it, but it really is kind of faking it because I'll drop the ball again. Like things like scheduling shit, things like prioritization. Yeah, I know what prioritization is. I can do it right now in the moment. 5 minutes later, I give two fucks about my prioritization. I'm doing
As
something
soon
else.
as you start, it's like, oh shit, shit.
Yeah.
A piece of candy, a piece of candy, a piece of candy.
Yeah. So that'll be next week because for people who have ADHD, it's like it's reassuring and validation that you can function, but you got to be honest about it. You got to work it. And it's for people who don't have ADHD. Like when I shared this article with my wife, she was like, so that's what it's like? I mean, and we've been together for like 20 something years. And I took this article for her to be like, oh, now I get it. Like, fuck, I should have written this like 20 some odd years ago. So
But if
I'm
you would
excited
have,
for
you
next
wouldn't
week.
be here.
That's true. So I'm excited for next week. I think the first couple episodes, I was very, very, last week and this week, very distracted because of my own workload, my own, some of it's ADHD, some of it's just, it is just comes with the territory sometimes. Sometimes you just get shit on and you just got to deal with it. But I'm excited for next week because I want to start planning on how we can make these episodes, more valuable to people. I want people to have takeaways, on a lot of this shit. So I'm excited for next week. I'll be back
We have
home
to
and we'll
sit
do this.
and rap on like a Sunday morning
Rippity
during
rap.
coffee or something. Try to come up with something.
Starbucks.
Starbucks, yeah.
Starbucks.
Starbucks. I
All right.
like
So yeah, we could do that.
Starbucks.
We could do that. We could start jamming on this on like Sunday, get coordinated. Like, all right, this is the way we're going to do it. Blah blah blah. And that'd be fun. Sunday morning, after church or before church or during church or no church.
I go spin class on Sunday morning.
What is spin class? What is that?
Ride indoor bicycle.
When I ride outdoor bicycle.
I don't have a bicycle. And I have, when it comes to physical fitness, I am not good at personal accountability. So I go to
Me
a
neither, dude.
class or I hire a coach and that helps.
It's fucking crazy because every time like I was Matt Hand. I don't know if you know who Matt Hand is, but he's down in Puerto Vallarta. That's where he lives. We were I had him come over like last Sunday, no Monday. Monday. It was Monday, and you know, we got a pool. It was hot that day. And I'm like, dude, let's jump in the pool, man.
Are you using your tether thing?
No, no, I still have it. I know, but yeah, we get in the pool, and I take my shirt off. I'm like, holy fuck, man, I got some weight to lose. He takes his shirt off. I'm like, put your fucking shirt back on, dude. You're making me look even fatter because he's lost a lot of weight. I'm like, you're doing this in front of my wife, man. Come on, put your. And so he was like, I'm like, how you been losing weight? And he said, spearfishing. Been doing a lot of spearfishing. You know, he's like, I've been trying to get you out there. I'm like, yeah, fuck,
Is
maybe I
that
need
the
to do
guy
that.
we picked up by your house with the bag at like 11 o'clock at night?
Yeah. So he's socially awkward. He just shows up.
It was, yeah,
Yeah. He didn't have any transportation, so I gave him one of my motorcycles.
nice. Are they both running?
Well, one of them was. I mean, neither one of them were when he came over on Monday, but that was part of the reason for him to come over. And so yeah, fixed it. It was fuel line leak, so I had to replace the fuel line. Yeah, it took a while, but we got to go. All right, man, that's a wrap. I'm excited for next week episode. The next episode, let's do it. Let's make this impactful for people and try to help as many people as we can. Show some love.
I love it.
Right on.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Yeah, talk to you later. Yo, yo, yo.
Pew.
If you stop.